As you can see, it's a lovely day, so time to tinker with some bikes. Today I'm putting a 200-pound group set on my lovely race bike. This is LTWOO RX, which is a 12-speed performance carbon group set from Aliexpress. It was about £200 and it came with rotors, brake calipers, cassette, chain, everything you need to get going. So I did an unboxing and a first look at this group set. So if you want to check out that video first, it will be in the description down below. This does mean I'm taking off the Sensor Empire Pro, a different 12-speed group set you can get for very cheap. I've been testing it for a while. It's going to be going on a different bike, don't worry. The testing is ongoing. But without further ado, let's strip this down, put this on, and see how it performs. A quick comparison of the old group set, Sensor Empire Pro, 708 grams for the shifters and mechs, and this LTWOO RX turns out to be a little bit heavier on the scales of destiny, 744 grams for the mechs and the shifters. Bear in mind though, I've left the, I'm being lazy, I left the cables in, so that will account for a few grams, but on the whole, very close. They almost weigh the same. Now I realise this is personal opinion, subjective, and it's going to be hard for this to come across in video, but the quality of these shifters, they feel very premium. They feel more premium than the Sensor ones. The hoods feel nicer quality. They don't rattle. Clickers and shifters feel very positive. What I'm trying to get across is that they feel better than a 200-pound group set part would expect to feel. And they look better too. It's also worth mentioning that these are heavily inspired by the shape of Campagnolo shifters, whereas these are more their own unique thing. This shifter shape is going to be completely down to personal preference. Some people might like this more, especially if you're used to using Campag. I've never actually owned a bike with Campag before, but just ridden loads from past workshop experience. But on the whole, these look pretty much the same. The shifters come with a piece of gear cable already installed, already fitted into the shifter. I'm going to be using the existing outers that are already threaded through my frame for two reasons. One, they're probably still alright because I haven't actually ridden this bike that much and it's a nice closed system. Two, I really don't want to have to do the internal routing on this frame again. Here's one thing that's a bit annoying. There is only one option when it comes to installing the gear cable, one port on the shifter. So the little hole where your gear cable ferrule will go into the shifter, you have to go on the inside of the handlebar. Whereas the Sensor group set, you have two different options. You can either go inside the handlebar or around the outside. If you go around the outside, it's a smoother curve for the cable to go around, which is very important. If you have handlebars with internally routed cables, the smoother curve makes a big difference when it comes to shifting performance. Here, you got to go on the inside, which is a lot tighter. And still, the cable length is okay. Thank God for that. I don't have to redo the whole thing. Hopefully, it'll still shift nice. Now the brakes here are Z-Race BR005s, which are a fairly newly released brake from Z-Race. They have a hydraulic reservoir inside, but they're cable actuated along with most of the brakes that are available on Aliexpress. These are supposed to be vastly improved from the previous versions, and I know a lot of you have asked if I could test them, so now we are testing them. They came with the group set package, which was £200 all in. Brake pads look gold. They're gold. It must be good if they're made of gold. Generally speaking though, it's advised to change these brake pads to Shimano ones or something that will fit. Usually you can improve performance over the stock pads that come with these kind of brakes. So yeah, I'm going to test them as is because that is fairer. I want to use this exactly as the package that it came with. Someone sent me those blue sweets. Blue's healthy, right? Look. Blueberry. Strange, but the rear mech is perfectly indexed straight out of the box. Or the plastic wrapping. It didn't come in a box. Front mech, it feels like there's quite a lot of resistance in the system compared to the other Sensor group set, but it has a few trim positions and it works. So I think what we need to do now is go outside. Thankfully, it stopped raining. I really didn't want to ride these brand new brakes in the rain, so happy days. I was wrong. It is raining. Well, it stopped raining now, so first ride impressions, pretty good. It shifts well, really well, super smooth. Front mech felt a little bit sticky in the stand, but actually when you're riding it, I haven't noticed that. Shifts really quickly and exactly how you want it to. I need to adjust the front cable a little bit because the trimming positions aren't exactly right for exactly where you need them to be. There is one big problem though, which I've just noticed. You can't reach the button to shift down when you're in the drops at all. Now with CADE group sets, you have a button, but in most cases you can reach it in the drops without any problems, which is a very important feature, particularly if you like to ride fast, because if you're riding in the drops, you need to be able to shift gear, usually to a harder gear. With this group set, you can't, unless you've got like really abnormally long thumbs. I've got pretty big hands and thumbs, and I'm miles away from it, so that's a negative. On the plus side, the shifters do feel nice to use. The thumb button's all right to use when you're sat on the hoods. The rubber feels like it's good quality, and the end of the shifter would be very hard for you to slip off. It's got quite a pronounced little bump at the top, so you're definitely not sliding forwards off the edge of them if you hit a pothole or something like that. You can shift 2 gears with 1 push of the right hand paddle, so an excellent feature which the sensor group set is missing. You can only shift 1 gear at a time. It's a very light touch, so if you don't want to shift 2 gears, you have to be a little bit careful, or I've had to be a little bit careful not to push it too far, because then you end up with 2 gears going, and sometimes you don't want that. Now the brakes, I'm gonna wait till I get home to show you the problem, and I've got to ride up a massive hill now, so I'll be you know, out of breath. Bad for video making. These brakes are strong. After making fun of the pads earlier, I've eaten my words. They're gold and they're amazing. They bite much more, even in the wet, than the other brakes that I was using, which were the Junetech F1s, Taiwanese brake. Here's the problem though. Rear one's fine. Front one, once you've braked once, the cable won't return. Now, this isn't a problem specifically with this brake. It's a problem because this frame is internally routed. Internal routing means that the cable has to run inside the handlebars, through your steerer tube, into the fork, and then out of the fork, connecting to the brake. There's lots of twists and turns there, and while it kind of worked okay with the other brake caliper, clearly this one needs more cable to be pulled for it to work. Therefore, if it gets stuck and it doesn't return, your front wheel is just kind of always braking a little bit. Now, this could probably be improved with some compressionless brake housing, but I have worries that compressionless brake housing, which isn't very twisty, it's quite rigid, wouldn't actually fit through these handlebars and forks anyway. So these brake calipers don't work very well on this bike, but I can switch back to the other ones and still use the shifters and mechs. So I'm going to carry on testing this group set for a few weeks. When I first built this bike up, it was about 7 kilos. Now it's got the weird group set on. Let's see. Oof. What's it say? What's it say? 8.43. It's heavier. But the group set was £200. Any questions, please put them in the comment section down below. And equally, any suggestions or things that you'd like me to test, put them in that comment section. And thank you for watching.